It is ultimately important for you to look at your goals, truly what you want to do in your life, and then look at the people who you spend the most time with in your life and figure out if that lines up.
All right, what's happening, guys? Sorry, I was just getting this shared out, so I'm a little late on the draw here this morning. But good morning, guys. It is Thursday, February 13th, 2020. I'm happy to be here with you guys this morning. We're going to talk about a topic that's near and dear to my heart this morning. Some of you guys who are in Top Contractor School, we did the business version of this this week. This is a topic that I spoke on at the National Pavement Expo, but we're going to put a little different spin on it here this morning. We're going to talk about culture in your own life. So we all experience culture in our businesses, or culture in the things that we do professionally. But I think that a lot of times we overlook culture in our own lives and what that looks like and the impact that can also make in our own lives. So I want to talk about that this morning. But first, I just want to say good morning to some people. What's happening? Trisha, Bob, Justin, Judd. Good morning, guys. Appreciate you guys jumping on here bright and early Thursday morning. Mark, what's happening, brother? Good morning. Carla, what's happening? Good morning. Thank you for jumping on. So we're going to talk about culture in your personal life. And again, for those people who have heard this presentation, this is going to be a little bit different. So stay tuned. I think it'll be something different, just a different spin on the conversation that will be helpful for you. So, what exactly is culture? And when we talk about organizational culture, I'm going to tell you what Wikipedia says organizational culture is. Wikipedia defines organizational culture as having to do with the behavior of humans within an organization and the meaning that people attach to those behaviors. So that definition for me was not very helpful. So they went on, though, to list a number of factors that contribute to culture. So here's the list: vision, values, norms, systems, symbols, language, assumptions, beliefs, and habits. So I want you guys to think about that for a minute in your own life. And what does that actually mean? So what is your vision? What are your values? What are the norms in your life? What are the systems that you've got in place for things? What are the symbolic things that you got going on? What kind of language is used in your life? Whether that's aggressive, passive, encouraging, negative. We're going to dig into a lot of this stuff this morning. What kind of assumptions do you make based on, just kind of how you live? What are the general assumptions? What are your beliefs and what are your habits? And we're going to talk about that, from a simplified version, that complicated definition. For me, culture boils down to, it is the personality of your life. It's the personality of your business, if you're talking about the culture of your business. And it's not the one that you choose necessarily, but it's the one that exists when you're not in charge, you're not around, you're not kind of steering the ship. What is your subconscious culture in your life? Kind of what does that look like when you're not doing things actively? Just kind of what personality does it take? What's happening, Kim, Chris, Dave, Patricia, Roland, Kevin? Good morning, guys. So what kind of personality does it take on? What kind of personality does your life have? Your family, your friendships, all the things around you. What does that actually look like? And so really there's three main parts that create a culture, whether it's in a business or in your personal life. And I want you guys to think about this. So there's your mission, your vision, and your values. And I compare those with questions. I like to say, your mission is who are we? Who are we? What are we doing? Your vision your values rather, is what do we stand for? And your vision is where are we going? And so the one thing that I want you guys to remember this morning that I think is the most important thing for somebody's life is I think that a lot of people lack vision. They lack the ability to see past the situation that they're in. They lack that ability to really create something in their life that they can grow into. And one of the things that I said in the presentation that I did at NPE and the other night for the Top Contractor Elite folks was, you know, your business will never outgrow the leader's vision for it. The people within your business will never outgrow the vision that you have for it. And that is the same in your life. You personally will never outgrow whatever the vision is that you have for your life. So if you have a vision for your life that is just commonplace, average, and you don't have a lot of big goals and you don't really see where you're going, you don't see this big mountain to climb, you're not excited about that, then the people around you aren't going to be excited either. And that vision for your life is really what guides your subconscious to do what it does every single day. And so if you don't have a vision, if you don't have that ability to make people excited about what you're doing and make yourself excited about where you're going, then it's going to be really hard for you to continue when things get tough. You know, the good book says, without vision, people perish. Think about that. Way back when, without vision, people perish. If you don't know where you're going in your life, and you don't think about that every single day, you don't actually, take the time to think about where am I at, where am I going, and do my actions actually line up with what I'm saying here? And what I would tell you is this, guys. I'm going to give you my personal example of how the culture in my life has changed. And this show is part of it. Me getting on here every morning and talking to you guys. There was a point in my life where social media was something that I was not embracing. I was not a fan of, because I had heard every single thing in my life, the same things that you do, about being afraid of it, not putting my family out there, not being public because, something bad might happen to your family. And, all of these things were in my head. And so I never really wanted to do it. And I had a couple of people that I met along the way. Kim Goodwin was part of the circle that really, Justin Myers is on here this morning, that really pushed me to get out there and do this. And what that did for me is it made me an evangelist for my cause, right? And that helped me really clarify my message and my mission and my vision for what I wanted to do in my life. And so I would tell you guys that becoming an evangelist for your own cause, like first figuring out what your cause is, like what is your mission? What values do you stand for personally? And then what is the vision that you have for your life, and where are you really going? Once you clarify those things and you become evangelical about your cause, everything in your life gets very clear, and it gets very intentional, and it gets very easy for you to keep things moving when things get tough, because you start to understand all of the people out there who are depending on you, all of the people out there that can be impacted by your message. And so I would ask you this question: what are you doing to be evangelical about your cause, about helping other people? The cause in this life that we are responsible for is lending a hand to others, shining light into dark places. And so I would ask you, what are you doing currently in your own life? Because if you're not speaking about your own cause, if you're not sharing your vision for what you want to do in your life with other people, there is generally a reason for that. It's because you're not confident enough yet in where you're going and what you're doing. And so clarify that for yourself, figure out what it is that you want to do, and become evangelical about your cause. One of the things that I said in the training that I did is that, if it's not you that is evangelical about your cause and your business, then it's probably somebody else that is speaking on your behalf. And that is not something that you want to do. That's not something that you want going on, because nobody else should really be speaking on your behalf, right? I think we would all agree with that. And I think that's true in our personal lives. If you don't say what you stand for, then it's going to be really difficult for people to kind of understand what that is. And it's going to be really hard for people to support you, because the reality is this: I'm a pretty positive person. I don't share, a lot of the negatives in my life. I'm going to get better at that, because I've realized lately that, that probably turns some people off or makes me less relatable to people. So I know that I need to do a better job at that. But, the reality is I don't share it because I don't want people's sympathy, and I don't want people thinking that, I'm looking for that. But I think that, those bad times in my life could give people hope that are going through that kind of thing right at this moment, and realize that, those times don't last, but people do. So that is part of what I need to change about being evangelical about my own cause. And so there's a slide here that I have that I'm looking at that has Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, Martin Luther King, Elon Musk, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Donald Trump, and Mark Zuckerberg, the creator of Facebook. And I don't think that any of you guys could say that those people aren't evangelical about their causes, right? And so when you talk about those people, and I always use this example, whether you agree with him or not, the president is a great example. So if you go back to 2016 and we think about, all of the messages that the president said, but there's one specifically that I think everybody can remember and relate to, and that is, we're going to build a wall, and who's going to pay for it? And everybody in the world probably knew the answer to that statement, and everybody would repeat it back when he said it. And so ask yourself in your life, to your family, to your friends, to your children, to the people that work around you, what is your message? Because ultimately, your message and what you decide to stand for, that is what becomes your culture, your personal culture. And so it's really important for you to understand that message and to cascade that message out in as many ways as you possibly can. And so I want to use my platform as an example of how you guys can do that. You've got multiple social media channels that you can leverage. So Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. You've got the ability to do a podcast just like this one. It doesn't cost much. Actually, you can do it for free. I use some services that make distributing this content easier. But the reality is that you can start to cascade your message, out into the world, into your family, have all of these people following along to your message, and hopefully building a community of support around what it is that you want to do in your life. If you're not a person that wants to do that, that's okay too. Just cascade the message in your own personal life, but make sure that you get clear about what it is that you want to do, what it is that you stand for in your life, what mission you're on, what values you stand for, and last but not least, what your vision is for the future of your life, for the vision of your family. What are you trying to accomplish? I was thinking about that this morning in the shower, to be honest. Like, what is the mission of our family? And the mission for me personally, the first thing that I thought of is I want freedom, for my family. I want to be able to do the things that we want to do and create the memories that we want to create. And I realized that takes sacrifice at first, for the long-term benefit of being able to do things that I've always wanted to do and dreamed about since I was a little kid. That is my vision and my mission for my family, is I want to be able to do those things. And I will get there by staying true to our values as a family, which is, being honest, put God first, do right by others, give back as often as we can. Be humble, All of those things go into the fabric of what we're trying to create as a family, my wife and I and our kids. And so what I would tell you is this: over a period of time, that message that I have started to put out there, and it started to gain some momentum with people, both on the contractor side and then personally here every single morning. That message will start to attract like-minded people into your life, and when you get those people, and I, every morning I try to share with you guys how grateful I am for all of you to be here. But when you start to share that message, you start to build a community of support, really a circle of people that all believe the same things, that have values that align, that have a similar mission, that have a similar vision for what they want to do for themselves and their families and their companies. And, when it comes down to that, guys, that is when life gets really good, because you start to feel that feeling of not being able to lose. That feeling of no matter what happens, everything's going to be okay because I've got all of these people around me. And so that's the feeling that I get every single morning when I log on here and I try to come up with valuable things to say and share with you guys that hopefully improve your life in some way, shape, or form. But that is my message to the masses, my message to you guys, my message to my kids and my family. It's aligned. It's about helping people and giving back and doing the right things and chaining together enough days of doing that it actually creates a significant result. And so when you get that, just realize, guys, when you start putting that message out and that message gets very clear, you will start to attract those like-minded people into your life, and you start to build a team, an army of people that are out to do good for the world. And by the way, that message that I share can be shared by all of you as well. It's not my message, it's our message. And I would encourage you guys to go out and do this yourselves. I was encouraged by multiple people to do this, on my own. And now I am sharing my own version of a very similar message to a lot of people that I have known over, the last few years here. And so I would tell you that, getting your message clear is a really, really important part of creating that culture in your life. What do you stand for? For those of you who have been following me for a period of time, I think it would be easy for you to describe what I stand for, who I am, my personality, my default emotion, if you will. We all have that kind of default emotion that we go to. Mine is positivity. That is probably my greatest strength, but also maybe my greatest opportunity is that sometimes when you're too positive, people don't think that it's authentic. And so I have to work on that and share the things in my life that aren't so great so that more people can relate and more people can actually get the message and believe the message. And that's a responsibility on my part. And so we all have things that we're working on, and those are some of mine. One of the slides here, I'm not going to go into the detail of how I use things in my life. Maybe I should. I got 10 minutes here. So there is a method that's out there that was taught to me in a coaching program that I am part of that I use in almost every aspect of my life. It's kind of a 4-step process, and I use it personally, I use it professionally, I use it in my friendships, I use it everywhere. But it goes like this: surprise, teaching or educating people. Value is in the inefficient things that you do for people. And then last but not least is reconnection. So surprise, studies show that there's a direct connection between surprises and people being happy. People are a lot happier when they get surprises. So if you're going to do something for someone in your life, let it be a surprise. That will be helpful to people. It will make them really think like, man, this person thought about me out of the blue and just sent me something. What a surprise. What a great surprise. So those things really, really help you connect with people on a different level. The second one is teaching. So educating people, having a culture in your life of pouring into other people, it's a must to create any strong relationship. Chris just mentioned there were 32 people on here at one point this morning, and I believe that has happened because of the education and the teaching and the loyalty that hopefully I've built with some of you by creating this relationship online every single morning. I'm here trying to help people, and that constant education and giving back, whether it's to your team, your family, your kids. You will create a different bond with your children if you educate them, if you show them things. You will create a different bond with your wife or husband if you take the position of trying to teach them something instead of telling them what they're doing wrong. And by the way, I am not perfect at that. I am certainly critical of my wife at times, and that's another thing that I am working on because sometimes business seems to transfer into our personal lives. And that's not fair, right? Our spouses are imperfect beings just like us. We should educate them and teach them and help them realize things on their own instead of trying to tell them what things we don't like or maybe we see as they're doing wrong. So teaching is a really critical piece of connecting with people on a deeper level. Value is in the inefficient things that we do. So this would be handwritten thank you cards, sending flowers unexpectedly, doing tasks for people that they may not want to do, doing the things that they ask you to do without too much time waiting, going out of your way to just do the things that are inefficient. So, for me professionally, I would advise you guys to show up to people's children's sporting events unexpected, show up to their house. Send them dinner, just call them on the phone and say, hey, I'd like to buy you guys dinner. Can I send you out to somewhere to dinner or send a meal to your house or cook a meal and deliver it to them? But any way that you can do things that are inefficient, it shows that you're willing to sacrifice your time for these people. And that is a really valuable thing to create a deeper connection with people and to create a better culture in your own life. And then last but not least, this is probably the most powerful thing that I've learned in the last year, is that reconnection is a really important part of what we do in life, because no matter what you do for someone and no matter how valuable that is, reconnection is a necessity to keep their enthusiasm at a high level. And so, imagine the battery on your phone gets to 100% charged. That's what happens. We get 100% charge into people when we do something nice for them. But naturally, that battery starts to get a little bit, depleted. It starts to lose its charge over a period of time. And so if you have scheduled and constant reconnection with people, just set a calendar invite or a reminder in your phone as to, when you need to reconnect with people. And, if you do that on a regular basis, and it's not about just reconnecting about, you or your business or whatever it is, it's about just asking them how they're doing and then being quiet for a minute and listening to, how they're doing, like really how they're doing. And if you take the time to listen, man, it's incredible the things that you will create in your life and the really deep connections, the meaningful connections that you will create with people in your life. And so I would end on this, guys. It's, there's a really powerful quote that's an African proverb, and it says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I think that that's a really profound quote when it comes to, life. It's like, we are not here to go at this alone. We are, we are here to go together. And that's what this show is about. That's what the community of people that we're trying to build in the contracting world and out here with this show is all about. It's about, giving people a place to come that they can feel comfortable. That's why I go to church. Some of you might have different ways of doing that, but those feelings of being part of something, going together, is the most important part of life for me. And I hope that it is for you as well. And if it's not a place where you're at, where you feel like you've got a team behind you, I would encourage you to follow some of these steps that we talked about today and create that new culture in your life, because the reality is that you're never more than one person away from having a different outlook, from having a different perspective. And that person, can be right in front of your face. That person could be a new you tomorrow, right? Just looking in the mirror and deciding that today's going to be the last day that you look at yourself the way that you have decided to look at yourself. I've coached lots of people through these situations, and most of the time it has nothing to do with who they are. It's just how they're viewing themselves. And so remember that quote. If you want to go fast in life, go alone. If you want to go far, always go together. And and the second thing I would say, remember that you're never more than one person away. One conversation, one way of looking at yourself differently can make your life entirely different tomorrow and or today. You can decide to make that change today. And for me, that personal culture all starts with the importance of my wife, my kids, the importance of my relationship with God spiritually, because that grounds me. In the most tumultuous times, I always have a place to go that's safe, and I never feel alone. And that is the greatest gift that I've been given in life, is the circle of people that I'm surrounded with. You guys that hang out with me here in the morning, and the relationships that I've created through this show, it's incredibly valuable. And so if you guys follow these steps and do these things and pour into other people, you will have a life that is incredibly fulfilled. I wake up every day and I never feel like I have work to do. I never feel like I have a bad day, really. Even bad things happen to me all the time. They happen to our company, to our group. Bad things happen. But the reality is, when you have the right people around you and those people have the right attitude and mindset, you just don't spend a lot of time being in that place. That negative place is not, everybody's going to feel bad from time to time. You're going to have things that happen to you in life that are unfair, that don't feel like you're deserving of those things. And that is probably true. And the reality is, the difference between people who live pretty positive and happy lives and the people that aren't the things that happen to them. It's the amount of time that they spend in that negative place. I say this quote a lot, but the only difference in your life between a rut and a grave is the depth of the hole and how long you stay there. And so when you look at these things that happen to you in your life, they are lessons. They are things that are supposed to redirect you and send you in a different path, make you consider different things, make you live a little bit differently. But they're not things that you're supposed to shoulder for a long period of time and deal with indefinitely. They are things that you're supposed to process and move on from. So I hope this was helpful for you guys this morning. If it was, please share it out. I shared the iTunes link in the comments. If you guys have an iPhone and you listen to podcasts, I would appreciate it if you would go over there and subscribe to this, so that the shows that you don't get in the morning on Facebook, they will pop right up on your phone, and they will notify you. And if the topic seems like something that you need to hear, go ahead and download it and leave a review over there. If you found this valuable, do me a favor today. Tag one person in the comments, or send this show, share it, send it to their DMs on Facebook, send it to them in a text message via the podcast platform, or here, or on YouTube. Pretty much this show is on every single platform that you could ever want to access it from. So if you guys could help me get the message out to more people, if you found the message valuable, just get one person to listen or take this in. And you never know. Today might be the day that you change that person's life by, just tagging them in these comments. Maybe it's a message that they need to hear today. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in and spending every single morning here with me. It is amazing to see 30-something people on this show. When I started, there was like 3 or 4. So it is working. I appreciate you guys for being here, and I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow morning.